During the twins' fifth birthday party, I suddenly gained the ability to read other people's minds. Lak Lak looked at the candle and prayed, "I hope Mummy will work less hard." Just when I was feeling emotional because my daughter was understanding, I heard Yen Yen's heart. She was complaining, "When will Dad take Mummy home? I hate this yellow-faced auntie." My face immediately turned pale. I couldn't believe my ears and turned to look at Yen Yen. Yen Yen blinked sweetly, but I heard clearly in her head, "So annoying, hurry up and cut the cake." Although Yen Yen's lips didn't move, I heard her voice. At that moment, I suddenly realized that I could hear Yen Yen's heart. I forced a smile, my face pale. "Thank you, my dear daughter. Mum will cut the cake now." I cut 2 equal pieces of cake, but Yen Yen was still not satisfied. Yen Yen pouted and said, "Mum, Dad said I'm the younger sister, I should eat more." Tong Hao patted Yen Yen's head and looked at me with an unhappy expression. Yen Yen is the youngest, she still has to grow up and eat more. Seeing my husband, who always pampered me, say that I still kept my cool. They are twins, he only cares about Yen Yen. Have you ever thought about Lak Lak's feelings? Lak Lak's eyes were red. She just lowered her head to look at the cake. Yen Yen pouted and complained. "Mom is biased, she only loves her older sister, not Yen Yen." Yen Yen appeared to be aggrieved, but I could hear her screaming inside. Dad said he would bring Mum back in a while. When will that be? I hate this old mother to death. A chill ran down my spine. The birthday party was no longer fun. I thought about the mother that Yen Yen mentioned, feeling that something was very unusual, so I secretly hired a private detective to look for evidence. That night, Song Hao was still dissatisfied that I was not biased towards Yen Yen, so he found an excuse to take Yen Yen out to play to relax. Lak Lak stood still, not knowing what to do, with a hint of jealousy in her eyes. Looking at Yen Yen's smug expression, I felt both pity and blame for having been too weak, and felt even more sorry for Lak Lak's patience. I looked at Lak Lak and said softly, "From now on, you don't need to give in to her any more. Tomorrow Mum will go find a job. From now on, the two of us can play freely." Lak Lak looked at me, her eyes filled with worry, her heart ringing. "I don't need anything, just that Mom is safe." That night when Lak Lak was fast asleep, the three of them still hadn't returned. My heart was as cold as ice. The next day, I told Tong Hao that I was going to work. He thought I was sulking and causing trouble, so he just smiled awkwardly. It's not easy to find a job now. I'm a housewife who has left society, so what job can I find? But I still stuck to my decision. I used to be Tong Hao's superior. If it weren't for believing in love back then and wanting to pave the way for him, why would I give up my career to be a housewife? Even though I had quit my job for 6 years, the relationships I had built were still there. When he found out that I had found a job, Tong Hao's eyes were murderous. Since I started working, we hired a nanny to take care of the children, adding a large expense that made him so angry that his eyes turned red. A few days later, after work, I received a text message from a private detective. I don't know how I finished reading it. My hands were still shaking. It turned out that Tong Hao had been having an affair before he married me. I didn't understand why he was still pursuing me, but when I saw that the third person was Yao Ning, I immediately understood. Yao Ning was their boss's mistress. The two of them were secretly having an affair. They definitely couldn't make it public. But I didn't expect him to choose to hurt me like this. What's even stranger is, why did I treat Yen Yen so well? But she kept turning towards Yao Dai Dai while I was still confused. The doorbell suddenly rang. As soon as I opened the door, I heard my mother-in-law yelling, "Oh, you're so slow to open the door at home. Don't you know I'm coming, seeing the person in front of me?" My face immediately darkened. It turned out that in order to prevent me from going to work, Tong Hao had invited his mother. As soon as my mother-in-law entered the house, she didn't bother to change her shoes, sat cross-legged on the sofa, and pointed at me to do the housework. I pretended to be clumsy and broke a bunch of dishes. My mother-in-law said I really regret it. If I had known, I would have forced you to marry Yao Ning. That girl is both gentle and sensible, not like this daughter-in-law who is so indecent. When I heard the name Yao Ning mentioned again, I was stunned. It turned out that my mother-in-law also knew everything, but she had kept it from me all along. A burst of anger rose up seeing me being clumsy. She glared and scolded me, unable to even do the small things. Using my son's money and still trying to go out to seduce men, do you have any shame? Hearing that I couldn't hold it in any longer and argued if your son had the ability, I wouldn't have to go out to work. Don't forget who he was able to get to where he is now, thanks to. She was so angry that she was speechless, pointing at me, but her heart was filled with regret. If only I had insisted on forcing my son to marry Yao Ning back then. The children probably heard Grandma Yan Yan's chattering and ran out to hug her. Luo Luo slowly followed behind. The little girl had long known that Grandma was biased, so she was always afraid of her. While hugging Yan Yan, her mother-in-law lamented, "Why did my good granddaughter get involved with this kind of mother?" On the outside, Yan Yan pretended to be by my side, but inside she was cheering. Grandma finally came. She could chase her old mother away. Luo Luo suddenly stepped forward, spreading her arms to shield me. "Mom is very good, she did nothing wrong." Seeing her action, Grandma raised her hand to hit her. I immediately hugged Luo Luo to block that hit. At that moment, Song Hao also returned from work. Mother-in-law saw that he seemed to have a solid support and immediately started to cry and pretend. "Oh my God, the daughter-in-law is bullying an old woman like her mother." Song Hao frowned, his face full of disapproval. "What's going on? I watched the two of them act." The corner of my lips curled into a sarcastic smile. The son met an irresponsible wife. The mother only said a few words to him, but he pointed at his mother and scolded her husband for being useless, saying he didn't have enough money to hire a nanny. He also said he would kick her out of the house or else turn this house into a mess. "Look at the pile of dishes on the floor, they're all your hard-earned money." This time Song Hao didn't scream loudly like usual. Instead, he took out his phone to film me and Luo Luo. While filming, he said, "See everyone. The ancients were right. When you marry a wife, you have to marry a virtuous woman. What about me? If I marry a lioness, it's too late to regret it." When he said that, I could still hear my heart beating, posting the video of her going crazy online so that netizens could attack her. When that time comes, I'll lose my job and can only obediently be a housewife. I hugged Luo Luo's head tightly, covered her ears, and just quietly observed everything. I had already made up my mind to collect enough evidence of adultery and prepare for a divorce. "I don't need this house anymore. I just need my eldest daughter." Seeing my calm appearance, my husband thought he had won. He told me to go get some rice, but he forgot that I also had a job now and didn't cook dinner at all. I was no longer the woman who cooked for him every day. Take care of the family. Now I just do what I need to do, just like he did to me. He got even angrier and continued to talk nonsense on the phone. "See, I work hard outside to earn money to support the whole family, but when I get home, I don't even have a hot meal to eat." Hearing that, I laughed coldly. I really hoped he would post the video online so we could see who would be scolded. Today's meal was ruined. Tong Hao took his mother and Yen Yen out to eat, not even bothering to ask me and my mother a word. I gently patted Lak Lak's head and also took her out. Normally Lak Lak rarely went out to play, so she kept looking here and there, her eyes sparkling with joy. My nose was a little sore. What was I thinking back then that I had to ignore her feelings like that? Luckily, I had the ability to read her mind. As soon as I finished dinner and returned home, I heard waves of sobbing. My good granddaughter. Why did she feel uncomfortable after eating Mother Yen Yen is really cruel. I don't know how she treated my granddaughter. I thought Yen Yen was pretending, but then I heard her heart. So uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. I quietly turned on the recording. When she saw me coming home, my mother-in-law got even angrier, scolding loudly. I just calmly reminded her maybe she ate something bad, so I took her to the hospital to get checked out. It would be a lie to say she didn't care after all we had been close for many years, but my mother-in-law didn't believe me and even thought that I wanted to harm her beloved granddaughter. Unexpectedly, she went to the kitchen to get dishwashing liquid, coaxed Yen Yen to drink it, saying that it was a folk medicine from her hometown. She would vomit it all out after drinking it. There was no need to go to the hospital. She also said that the hospital had a strong yin energy and was not good for children. No matter how I advised her, she would not listen and poured it directly into the child's mouth. Although I did not like Yen Yen, she was still alive. I turned to look at Tong Hao, hoping that he would stop his mother, but he was just like a son, clinging to his mother's skirt, looking at her with trust, truly a family of one mind. After drinking the dishwashing liquid, Yen Yen felt even more uncomfortable. Her face was red, she was exhausted, and she had no vitality left. They kept waiting for her to get better, but seeing that the situation was getting worse, they started to panic and decided to take her to the hospital, immediately going to the emergency room. The doctor asked for the reason, and the mother-in-law honestly told him her folk remedy and was immediately scolded by the doctor, but she still acted aggrieved. After the examination, the doctor concluded that it was due to indigestion and food poisoning. When I looked closely at the doctor, I saw Tong Hao sweating profusely. Oh no, did she find out that Yen Yen was not her biological child? Why was she looking so closely? Hearing that, I was stunned on the spot. I didn't understand. Didn't I give birth to twins? Why wasn't Yen Yen my biological child? I took a few deep breaths, trying to suppress the doubts and anger in my heart, quietly plucked out some hair from the two children and Tong Hao to take for testing. It took a few days to get the results. The next day, Tong Hao still used work as an excuse to ask me to take care of Yen Yen. I also had work to do, so I immediately refused leaving under my mother-in-law's fierce gaze, as if she wanted to eat me alive. After I left, Tong Hao continued to play with his phone. I took Lak Lak to school and conveniently went to work. As soon as I entered the room to make tea and get coffee, several colleagues eagerly asked me questions, leaving me bewildered and not understanding what was going on. I opened social media and saw that Tong Hao was not joking when he said he would post the video online. He really did it. Many netizens did not understand the ins and outs, standing on the height of morality, making harsh judgments about me. In the video, he and his mother were crying and complaining, "I am a bad mother, not fulfilling my duty. I turned off my phone. As long as I collect enough evidence, I can get out of this quagmire." The more social media attacks me, the more it helps me find an excuse to retreat. Sooner or later, netizens will know how they treated me. I just don't know if they can handle that blow by then. While working, I still had a lingering question in my mind: why isn't Yen Yen my biological child? Then suddenly I remembered an old story. During the prenatal checkup, the doctor told me I was only carrying one fetus, but when I gave birth, it was twins. At that time, I thought it was because the ultrasound was wrong and didn't detect twins. But now that I think about it, there might be a much bigger problem inside. I had to suppress my speculations and continue to focus on work. After work, returning to a place that couldn't be called home, I felt indescribably tired. At home, there were only me and Lak Lak. The rest of the family was probably still in the hospital, looking after Yen Yen. I took my daughter out to buy clothes little by little, making up for the warmth that she had been lacking for so long. Life had not yet been peaceful for long. Yen Yen had just recovered when she was injured again, when she went to the amusement park with her grandmother and was scratched while playing an adventure game. This time I did not say anything, just stood there watching to see how she would handle it. As expected, I did not know where she got a bag of white sugar and poured it on Yen Yen's wound, teaching her a lesson while doing it. Grandmothers from the previous generation were not as wasteful as the children today. Folklore has it that if you put sugar on it, the bleeding will stop immediately. I could only remain silent before that miraculous remedy, but on the surface I still smiled and even praised the effectiveness of this folk remedy. Seeing this, Tong Hao suggested in a low voice, Why don't we take the child to see a doctor? I thought he was still the same motherly type of boy as usual, but I was surprised. Yen Yen also agreed when her father said that, and I heard her heart. I don't believe, Grandma. I want to go to the hospital. I don't want to leave a scar. You know what young people these days are so wasteful. Going to the hospital doesn't cost money. She got angry when she heard Song Hao's suggestion. Seeing this family's dog-biting dog scene, my heart felt indescribably relieved. When it was time for dinner, Luo Luo lowered her head and scooped rice very gently. I picked up a lot of delicious dishes and put them in her bowl. I don't know which nerve Song Hao had that action touched. He took out his phone and continued filming as if he was wronged. Oh my God, the poor second daughter had a biased mother who only knew how to pick up food for the older daughter, not even bothering to feed the younger daughter. His heart said, this time she can't even dream of working peacefully at the company. Netizens hate biased people. I took a deep breath and said coldly, just because you pick up food for your child, you become biased. What kind of father are you? If you want a divorce, I'm ready. Hearing me say that, my mother-in-law and Song Hao's faces immediately froze, extremely embarrassed. That's right, even if they wanted to get together with Yao Ning, it wouldn't be easy. After all, Yao Ning still had her main sponsor that she had to rely on. The two of them didn't dare say anything more, just made a few gestures to please me and coaxed me in a gentle voice. After all, we were family. After dinner, my phone rang. I thought it was a curse message from netizens because my personal information had almost been dug up. Unexpectedly, it was the private detective I had hired. When I saw the photos, he sent my stomach twisted and a wave of nausea rose up to my throat. I thought that in the hospital there was only Yan Yan, my husband, and my mother-in-law, but unexpectedly, Yao Ning was also there. And there were countless photos showing that they had been living together as a family for a long time. It turned out that the overtime on Valentine's Day was with Yao Ning. It turned out that on Children's Day, June the 1st, he went to the amusement park with Yen Yen and Junin. It turned out that the happiness that I had foolishly believed in was just an illusion that I had fabricated. I kept all the evidence and paid the detective. Every expense was paid with my own bank card. As soon as I transferred the money, I received a call from Tong Hao. Now Yen Yen was seriously ill and needed money, but she spent so much money. What was she doing? Next was a photo of a pair of high heels I had just bought for only 209 yuan. Yes, he also knew that money was important, but what about Junin? She was covered in branded goods. I didn't bother arguing, directly hung up and blocked his number. I knew that when they returned home, it would definitely be a scene of crying and destruction. So I took my eldest daughter to the apartment I rented near the company. It didn't matter if they didn't return to the other house. I think I don't just need this evidence. The person who is supporting Yao Ning's long-term meal card also needs it. If I remember correctly, Yao Ning's meal card is called Yujia Liang. He has a very strong wife. If it weren't for her, he would have gone public with Yao Ning long ago. Looking at the evidence photos, I don't know if I should be sad or happy. I saved each photo, backed up all the data, and found Yujia Liang's information from the detective, including his WeChat account. I sent a friend request, silently waiting for him to accept. Not long after, I also found Yujia Liang's wife Ren Qiongxi and sent her an invitation. As long as they agreed, I would have a chance to turn everything around. While waiting, I casually surfed the internet, thinking that Song Hao wasn't stupid enough to actually post videos on the internet. But I underestimated his stupidity. His videos were suddenly going viral. I thought he just posted the entire video, but he edited it. In the video, I became a cruel, stupid, and biased mother. Below the video were all the cursed comments saying that being a mother is fair. Being biased is a crime. This kind of mother should go to hell. Netizens who didn't know the truth just defended Song Hao, making him even more smug. He fired the nanny. Look, everyone on the internet said so. I think you should go back to being a housewife. The nanny's fee isn't cheap. Every penny saved is worth it, and the children will still have to go to school later. As a housewife, you only need to clean the house and cook so you don't have to work. Isn't it great to be free? Hearing this, I just smiled. Then tell your mother to stay home and work. She's free all day. How can she be free? He was stunned for a long time before he could react. His face red with anger. She is my mother. How dare you say that? I replied calmly. Oh, I am still your wife, and you dare say that to me. He was speechless and didn't know what to say. I looked at that face and felt nauseous. I've decided. From now on, Lak Lak and I will move out. I'll leave this house to you guys. He just kept repeating, don't regret it. Leaving that house, I took Lak Lak to eat the little cake that she had been longing for all this time. But the first piece she gave to me, Mum, eat first, I dressed Lak Lak very cutely, a sweet pink princess dress. Only 5 years old and already so understanding, I suddenly realized that I was really stupid before. When I returned to the small rented room, although the area was not large, it was fully furnished. I also bought a lot of toys for Lak Lak to play with. Lak Lak secretly glanced at me while playing her heart filled with joy. Mum treated me very well. I must repay her in the future. I was so happy. I looked at Lak Lak and felt both pain and sweetness in my heart. At that moment, a new message came to my phone. It was the result of a blood relationship test. Lak Lak and I were biological mother and daughter, while Yen Yen and I were not related by blood at all. But more importantly, Yen Yen was not related to Tong Hao either. I thought I was the one who suffered, but in the end it was Tong Hao who was the one who was tricked into raising someone else's child for 5 years. Indeed, evil is rewarded with evil. I gently told Lak Lak to take a bath and then slept in the same bed with her. When I said I would tell her a fairy tale, her face was bright red with joy, her eyes sparkling. I told her the story of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, telling her that this story teaches us not to eat food from strangers. And the Little Mermaid told her not to lose herself because of love. Before loving someone else, you must love yourself. Lak Lak did not understand everything, just blinked blankly and nodded seriously. Mum, I will remember. It was late at night. It was time to make that scum couple pay. Early the next morning, before it was even light, I heard a loud knock on the door. But when I opened the door, there was no one standing there, only a strange package lying right on the doorstep. I opened it to see inside was a cursed doll, covered in red ink, pretending to be blood. That's right, I had forgotten that my personal information had been revealed. It was only a matter of time before my home address was revealed. And what made me sick the most was that the person who leaked the information was Tong Hao. In this era where traffic is king, he had publicly posted my personal information on social media to attract interaction and pity. The internet was full of vicious words that wanted to dig me up by the roots. I didn't expect someone to use such a despicable trick as a bloody doll to threaten me. I just laughed coldly, took photos, recorded videos, and saved everything as evidence. Going out, I faced everyone's pointing eyes. It was her one look, and you could tell she was not a good mother, favouring her own child and neglecting her own. I entered the company thinking that my colleagues would look down on me, but unexpectedly they came to comfort me. If you need a few days off to regain your composure, just say so. We trust you and know what kind of person you are. Hearing that from the boss, I was truly moved, making me even more determined to take revenge. He dared to post my personal information online, which was an invasion of privacy. Not only Tong Hao, but also the person who sent the cursed doll deserved to be punished. I took pictures of everything as evidence and went to a lawyer I trusted. If you make a mistake, you have to have the courage to bear the consequences. I sent all the evidence to the lawyer, including the story of Tong Hao's adultery during our marriage. I thought I could finally end this marriage without a single blessing. Right after I sent a friend request via WeChat, the first person to accept was not Ren Chongxi, as I thought, but her bad husband, Yu Jialiang. His first message was, "Hello, pretty girl, what's up?" His words reeked of a bad man who hunts girls. I just smiled and sent him all the evidence I had collected. He had always considered Yao Ning as his secret lover, but who would have thought she had so many shady tricks behind her back, even giving him a big horn? Yu Jialiang was silent for a long time after reading it. I thought that was interesting, but was that my whole purpose? Of course not, before you. Jialiang could even accept the friend request. I had already made a series of moves. I secretly sent all the evidence of Song Hao's affair to his company's HR department and also posted the evidence of the affair on social media. But did he think that was the end? No, that was just the beginning. Song Hao still didn't know the shocking truth. The daughter he had been raising like an egg was not his biological child. I was excited, sent him the DNA test results, and sat cross-legged waiting to see what would happen. Did he have a video slandering me? I also had a surveillance camera. Before the first time he used his phone to film me, I had secretly installed a camera in my house. Now was the time to fight back. At the same time, Yu Jialiang finally accepted my friend request. Before I could even send a message, I received a message. Ren Chongxi, his wife, had also just accepted the invitation. Without hesitation, I immediately sent all the evidence of her husband's affair and child. Whether she believed it or not, I didn't care. Someone like her definitely has the ability to verify it herself. This fire started to burn. Song Hao was fired from the company. The netizens who once defended him now turned around and bit him. Each comment was like a knife cutting into his flesh. The door of the house was splashed with paint, and no one wanted to sell vegetables when they went out. The eyes of passers-by made the mother and son always feel like they were being hunted, not daring to go out. They had no choice but to move. He called me many times, but I had blocked all contact for a long time. On the day I officially filed for divorce, I met them again in court. Song Hao's eyes were bloodshot, his dark circles were heavy, and his mother-in-law's hair was even more grey, no longer as stubborn as before. Yen Yen no longer had anyone to stroke her hair. She wore new dresses, only wearing old, wrinkled clothes. As soon as they saw me, they immediately cursed. "It's really a bad star marrying you. It's really bad luck for 8 generations. I have this daughter-in-law. It's really bad luck for me. I won't say that you're biased anymore. Please spare Dad and Grandma." Yen Yen pleaded on the outside, but inside she was screaming. Why did I have this old mother? It was so disgusting. Faced with these curses, I felt extremely happy. I could finally escape this marriage. As for dividing the property with the crime of adultery, spreading slanderous rumors causing online violence, Tong Hao was qualified to leave empty-handed. Lak Lak followed me, and Yen Yen was left for them to raise. After hearing my decision, their faces showed surprise, as if they couldn't believe that I hated them so much. They originally thought that as long as I left, they would easily marry Jun Nin, living comfortably with the money from that long-term meal card. But now that Song Hao no longer had a job and was about to be sued for invasion of privacy, how could their lives be peaceful? Sure enough, just a few days later, my phone kept showing missed calls from many unknown numbers. I didn't know where they borrowed the phone from, but the calls kept coming. Having some free time, I decided to pick up the phone and try calling. I thought it was Song Hao, but it turned out to be Yao Ning. "Do you have time? Let's talk for a bit." Yao Ning's voice rang out through the phone, sounding as if she was about to cry. But I wasn't a man. Those acts of showing weakness couldn't stir any pity in me. I really just wanted to know what she had to say to me. I chose a restaurant near where I lived to meet. At that time, I had already submitted my resignation standing in front of my old company, the place that had sheltered me through the storm, feeling somewhat regretful. My colleagues held my hand, hoping that I would stay and continue fighting. But I had the money from my divorce to start over. I wanted to start a business and give my daughter a better life. Goodbye, everyone. I couldn't bear it. It was the first time in my life that I had encountered such a decent working environment. But my future is the starry sky and the vast ocean. I believe that my daughter and I will live better than ever. At the appointed time, I went to the restaurant I had chosen. As soon as I entered, I saw Yao Ning waiting, her face pale, but still trying to put on bright red lipstick without any vitality, trying to appear calm, but very forced. I looked and couldn't help but laugh. She spoke first, her voice full of resentment. "Are you so happy? It's all your fault. Why did you tell Ren Qiongxi that I have a child? Even Yu Jialiang hasn't forgiven me." I found it so funny that I burst out laughing. "Don't you know, not only you, Yu Jialiang, is also divorced. Do you think if he forgives you, your life will be happy?" Her face turned pale. I didn't stop beating her. "You chose to be the third person, you chose to interfere in someone else's family, so you should be mentally prepared to pay the price." I believe she is brave enough to face everything that lies ahead. In the end, it seems that she suddenly realized that the one who really made her fall into hell was not Ren Qiongxi, but Yu Jialiang. If Yu Jialiang knew that it was because of her that he lost his wife and everything, he would not show mercy, and her ending would definitely not be good. As for Yu Jialiang, he is not much better now. He was originally just a parasite. If it weren't for Ren Qiongxi, he would probably still be working at a construction site. When all the troubles were cleared from my life, I took Luo Luo to the capital to live, starting a completely new journey, free, peaceful, and no one could touch us anymore. Thank you for telling me about Yu Jialiang. Even though we took advantage of each other, I am still truly grateful. If you need help, you can come to my company to apply for a job. Signed as Ren Qiongxi. I smiled slightly. There are indeed more good people than bad people in this world. I once thought that everything would end here, but I was lucky to have a big tree like Qiongxi to support me. With the ability to read hearts, my career has been like a kite in the wind. In my free time, I can take Luo Luo on trips. She is no longer a shy child, but a lively little princess, wearing a red dress, fresh and radiant, like the sun. One day, I received a text message from a private detective called After Sales Service, which contained the latest developments. I once imagined that Yao Ning would be down and out, but no, her luck was really good. Even though she had put a green hat on Song Hao, she was actually pregnant with his child. Although Song Hao had spread false rumors and violated my privacy in the end, he was only released for 10 days, fined 500 yuan, and then released. When he got out of prison, although he hated Yao Ning for betraying her, he loved the child in her womb to the point of madness. He tried to apply for jobs everywhere, but was rejected repeatedly, and finally had to work as a porter at a construction site. The person who once lived a happy life now suffered for the rest of his life. As for Yen Yen, the daughter who had been pampered, ever since Yao Ning became pregnant, she was no longer favored. Her family was poor. She only wore old clothes that people gave her, no longer the arrogant little princess she used to be. Full of venom, Yen Yen once wanted Yao Ning to have an abortion, but her grandmother found out, and from then on she lived no different than a hated little dog. As for her mother-in-law, she prayed all day, hoping for a grandson. When the ultrasound showed that it was a boy, she became even crazier. She spent all her money taking care of Yao Ning with seafood stewed chicken and piles of nutritious food. She was so superstitious that she wouldn't let her nail him or move him. Bed not feeding beef or goat, all for the sake of the eldest grandson. In order for her grandson to be born with good luck, she even invited a fortune teller to choose a date of birth. However, when there was still a month left until the birth, she was so anxious to see her grandson soon that she listened to her friend and cooked oatmeal porridge for Yao Ning to eat. That night the fetus kicked violently, and the next morning she bled and was hospitalized. The child could have been kept, but because the mother ate too much and exercised too little, she eventually died from difficulty giving birth. When I received this news, I was not surprised at all, because this was exactly what my mother-in-law could do. I didn't know whether to be happy or sad, I just felt light-hearted. Luckily, my eldest daughter and I left that muddy puddle early. While I was sitting there holding my phone, Lack Lack ran over and hugged me. "Mum, what are you doing?" I patted her head. "What a lovely child. I always wanted my child to grow up happily and didn't want to force her to study anything. However, she especially loved studying. Lack Lack always felt that solving a math problem was like conquering the world. In order for her to have a richer life, I asked her for her opinion and signed her up for art classes that she liked. She said she liked dancing. I asked why. She sweetly said, "I like the feeling of dancing to the music." Not only did I learn ballet, I also wanted to learn taekwondo. When I heard about it, I was very supportive. The little girl said she found taekwondo very interesting, but in her heart, she whispered, "I want to protect Mum to let her live happily." I also smiled and whispered in my heart, "My dear Mum also wants you to live happily. Summer is always full of youthful vitality, enthusiasm flows like a volcano erupting constantly, spreading vitality and aspiration, challenging all 4 seasons of the year. Year after year, my daughter Lack Lack is also growing up. Looking at her clear and bright eyes, her eyebrows curved like willow, her long eyelashes fluttering slightly, her fair and rosy skin, her thin lips as soft as fragile rose petals that want to shed tears. Although Lack Lack is weak on the outside, her heart is extremely strong. In my heart, I feel an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Many times I silently thanked God for giving me the ability to read hearts. Luo Luo also really worked hard and finally got into a top-notch university. The day I sent my child to school was still summer. The bright yellow sunlight carried a steaming heat, and the bright red color of the roses seemed to be filled with vitality. As soon as Luo Luo got out of the car, she attracted many eyes. The sunlight seemed to draw a gentle halo around her. Thoughts were buzzing around me. Oh my God, the valedictorian in the newspaper turned out to be a real beauty. It wasn't an exaggeration. "Mum, I'm so lucky to be in the same school as such a great beauty." Hearing the chirping hearts around me, I couldn't help but smile brightly. As soon as I sent my child into school, I saw a WeChat message from Luo Luo on my phone. "Mum, now that I'm in college, you should think about your own happiness. I think Uncle Shu Yu is really good. Moreover, you and him are old friends. He has secretly liked you for a long time. If you want to marry him, I fully support you." I looked at that message and my face turned red. This kid is messing with you again. Besides Yen Yen, I used to hate my old mother very much, always thinking that she was the one who destroyed my family. No matter how well she treated me, I was always unhappy. I thought that she would continue to tolerate me forever, but I never expected that one day she would let go, abandoning both me and this family. When my father lost his job and was imprisoned, I hated her even more to the core. Then my biological mother really appeared, but things were not like I imagined. My biological mother had always been gentle with me, never forcing me to eat vegetables like my old mother used to do. My grandmother always hugged me and called me a good boy, while my father only knew how to go home and lie down, not doing anything. I used to hate my old mother very much, but even though she was a housewife, she still took care of everything in the house in order. My biological mother didn't know how to do anything, she just ate and slept all day. Then she got pregnant, and from then on my position plummeted. I had to take care of the housework. They even forced me to change schools because the old school's tuition was too high and no one cared if I could adapt. I started to hate them. So one day I accidentally poured water on the road that my biological mother used to walk on every day. I thought that if they lost this child, they would love me like before. But when my grandmother saw my actions, she cursed me terribly. As expected, I was a bastard raised by a disgusting woman, and now I only know how to do dirty things when I grow up. My father and mother's eyes were filled with hatred. No matter how I explained, no one believed me anymore. I was a good student, but only when I got high scores did they care about me a little. I tried to study very hard, but without the investment like others studying day and night was not very effective. My study results were getting worse and worse. At first, they were a little unhappy, but still showed concern. Then disappointment became evident, and gradually no one paid any attention to me anymore. Especially after my biological mother passed away due to difficult childbirth, my life became a real hell. Because my father was not my biological father, my grandmother was not my real grandmother either. In their eyes, I was just a shameful vestige of the past, so they forced me to drop out of school, forced me to stay home to do housework, then pushed me out into society to work as a factory worker. I often wanted to ask why I ended up like this. When I grew up, I understood that I had brought it all upon myself. I started to go downhill. Because I wanted to earn more money, I sold my body cheaply, became a barmaid. As long as I had money, nothing else mattered. I didn't need family, didn't need education, didn't need anyone, just money. Another summer came. On my way to work at the bar, I passed by the schoolyard of a top university. Unbelievably, I saw my old mother from back then. Beside her was a radiant, outstanding girl, so perfect that I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was definitely my older sister, Lack. The dress on my sister was expensive. Her temperament was elegant and noble, while I was wearing a cheap, revealing outfit, both vulgar and pitiful. I immediately lowered my head, wanting to get closer to recognize her, but was I worthy? Childhood memories came flooding back like a movie. I knew that everything I had today was retribution. When my old mother's eyes looked at me, I turned around and ran away. I only prayed that she would never recognize me because I no longer recognized myself. As for Tong Hao, the man who was not my biological father, he eventually got involved in gambling. He always said he would win back, but the more he lost, the more he got into debt. Then he started looking at me with a strange gaze. I was scared and wanted to run away, but he took advantage of me when I was drunk and sold me to the people he owed. From then on, my life fell into a bottomless pit. But I learned to pretend to be good to please men and sell myself to survive. In the end, I followed a gang leader. Once a car accident happened, I instinctively rushed to shield him, using my body to block in front. I was injured, blood kept flowing from my mouth, but my mouth still muttered, "I want Tong Hao to die. I know that man doesn't love me, but because I saved his life, he will definitely grant me a wish." Right before I lost consciousness, I thought to myself, if Tong Hao died, would my old mother be a little happier, yeah? Thank you for listening to the story at Ken Stories. I hope you have relaxing and fun moments. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe so I have more motivation to make more videos.